Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. We are here to talk about the challenge, Spies, Lies, and Allies, episode 15. My name is Allan, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host. We have the Southern Luke Muncie
What's up, guys?
and the Canadian Miss Nikki Sin.
Hello, hello, hello.
Episode 15. We've been talking about this show for 4 months. It keeps going and going and going, and finally we're down to 12 people at the end of this episode, but man, we don't even know when the final's in sight.
It's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, like herpes.
Yeah. That
Oh,
might be a better analogy.
way to start off the episode. Everyone loves a good herpes talk in the first minute or two of a podcast. It really brings them all together. But yeah, the show keeps going on, and I gotta say, it's better than us talking about double agents last season where we were just making up words just to like pretend there was something going on. Ooh, skulls, what's happening here? Versus this season, switching teams, every elimination is actually good, and people getting to call out their opponents is a good twist. But yeah, the season is dragging on a bit. This episode, though, was very nice and simple. We had a simple daily challenge. We knew who was going into elimination. That person picked their opponent for logical reasons. They had a good matchup, and here we are now.
I liked the episode. It was centered around people that I don't like, and I still liked it, which to me makes for a good episode. And we've talked about this on this podcast many times before. The daily can make or break, and I think the daily made this episode.
This episode could have the alternative title of just white people yelling. It was for like a lot of it. A lot of Tori. Didn't love that. But I loved the daily.
Yeah, the challenge when it's simple is at its best because it's when things get too convoluted. You got to edit too much in. You got to create context. You can just watch this episode, especially the daily, which we're going to talk about. You can just visually see what's going on. People smashing into one another, running after each other. It's great stuff. The episode opens up with Amanda coming back from her elimination win last week. She switched to Team Emerald. Big T is still in the game because of Ashley's deactivation. Rest in peace, Queen. And yeah, everyone on Team Emerald is acting like Amanda is the plague when she just played the game.
I'm very much Team Amanda and have been, so I know that I have a bias, but I don't understand it. Like, it's not like she's a layup from hell. In fact, they just saw her win the elimination pretty easily, and they're still discrediting her. It's very bizarre.
It's very Devin. Devin had the audacity to refer to everyone else as chefs on his team and then call Amanda a dishwasher. Yet last season he was like, yeah, Anissa and I would be in the surveillance van. I didn't forget. Don't put yourself on the same level as Anissa and then you're like, Amanda, a good competitor.
And it's just funny to me how the narrative changes so much because on Final Reckoning, Amanda was seen as a threat. Yes, she was with Zach, who was a champ and is a beast, but like, it wasn't just Zach who people were scared of. They thought that Zach and Amanda were beasts. And now that she's not in their clique, she's a layup. It's strange.
Yeah, she doesn't take the challenges seriously, which is like, yeah, imagine if she did. She's still competitive with you when she's just having fun, having a good time. And Devin, man, if we're talking about chefs, the only movie I've ever seen is Ratatouille. CT is Remy. You're the fat rat, his brother, who just eats garbage in his mouth and is like, ooh, this tastes good. That's the type of chef you are, bro.
The only movie, I think you meant the only cookie movie, but in my head now it's canon. You've only seen Ratatouille your whole life.
Yeah, so when I see my second movie, I'm like, I'm getting big Ratatouille vibes right now.
No, Devin is incorrect in most of his statements. I will give it to Casey when they had their little like team meeting without Amanda for some reason. She was like, you know what? Like, we're the team now. Let's just welcome her in. Let's try to make this work.
Yeah,
Good on.
and I think even Amanda had a good point that, yes, Tori's a strong girl. We're not going to discredit her. But when it comes to the brains, Tori doesn't have what Amanda can give. Like, if it's not all about running. And even still, Amanda could run at least a distance that's going to happen in the final.
And when you run a big team final, you don't have to be the fastest runner. You just have to keep up with the second fastest person on your team. As long as you're not completely dragging your team behind, to a cataclysmic level, then you're fine. And Amanda can do that. I mean, she has decent cardio. I mean, it's not the best in the house, but she can keep up, and she knows it's all checkpoint oriented. It's about, making sure that your body's at the right point and you're not peaking at the wrong time, not burning out too fast. Amanda is cognizant of stuff like that.
And let's be honest, this is not meant to shade this person, but if Nani's on her team, pretty sure that would be the last leg when it comes to running. Just saying.
Yeah, I hate saying that as a Nani fan, but I do agree. I am getting very mad at all these guys in the house that, at one point they're like, oh, Amanda's like my best friend, I've got her back, Devin and Nelson. And then they're just kind of getting at her every time.
These men, I mean, never seen such a weak group of people just blame all their problems on someone who's just living their life, man. It's weird. But that moves us on to our daily challenge. Before it happens, Tori and CT have a moment where they're like, hey, maybe our two teams should work together because we can't just let Emerald continue to steamroll us. They informally are going to be working together. They show up to the daily challenge, and there is a big pit in the sand that's done in the shape of a wishbone, 3 different directions. Each team has to run down into this trench, go off into another team's area, grab a detonation pin or whatever it's called. They have to grab that and then bring it back to their area. So you can pick which team you're going to team up on. You can play strategically. You can play the middle. You can do whatever. Ruby and Sapphire, seeing that they're down to 4 and 3 people each, see Emerald 6, and they're like, all right, we're going to team up on them. Seems simple enough.
I thought it was genius, to be honest. This just shows how little people there are left to root for, that I was finding Tori endearing in this moment. Like the talk with CT before, I was like, yeah, let's see more of Tori play like this, when really she was just playing the game. But it was a good idea. If TJ is going to keep giving them, which I say TJ, if the producers are going to keep giving them these challenges that are lopsided, they've got to do something. And even at the beginning, Emmy was like, there's just one of me. How am I going to go against 2 girls? And he's just like, that's for you to figure out, which to me loosely translated to, we want the Emerald team to win. And that's just exhausting to me.
Yeah, I didn't love the setup at first. I did feel for Emmy that she's like, 1, this is her first time on the show. 2, English is her second language. And then she's like, what? Best of luck. Good on you. I thought it was going to be like the Daily and Rivals 2.
Yeah.
CT was like, choo-choo. It's me run against them. Close.
Yeah, free agents. It was him and Zach were just murdering everyone. But yeah, I thought it was going to be exactly like that too. But this was a good twist because it was bigger teams and added some strategy element to it.
The explosion.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? There was the one in Rivals 2 with the ramps. That one. That one. Yeah. Yeah. Free agents. Yeah.
And Adam got the wrong one.
Yeah. Free agents had the trenches, and then that one had the ramp. So, and then Rivals 1 had the elimination with the trenches, where Tyler and Bananas got murdered by CT. I do want to say, we drag Tori a ton, but there is a moment where she's kind of trying to rally the Ruby team at the beginning of the episode. And I do think when Tori plays from the bottom and just acts as herself with no regards for anything else, that is an actually good reality TV character because she's being authentic. I mean, maybe wearing a cape and being a little too over the top, I could do without that. But when she's just being herself, it's like, oh, this is a person, not the character she's been all season.
I so agree because she just spoke real. She was not being corny. She's not. I mean, the cape was corny, yes, but she just broke it down. You guys suck. You do. The stigma is that you guys are not a good team. You are certainly the worst team. I'm on your team now. This cannot continue to be. And I halfway have to think, and this is horrible. We're all thinking it. I halfway have to think if they hadn't let Big T stay and that team were just comprised of Tori, Kyle, and Nelson, that conversation would not be the same. I mean, Tori references all throughout the episode, running a final with Big T. It's daunting. So Allan's exactly right. Her being at the bottom and trying to just work her way back up after being successful for so many weeks on end was refreshing and nice to see her in that type of scope.
I agree, but also can't stand her, so it irritates me. I feel like her pep talk was all pep and no strategy. at some point there should have been a discussion like, okay, let's talk about people's strengths and how we can utilize that and how we can help pick up people on like slack that they have. Like if one of you is bad at puzzles, like I'm great at puzzles, maybe we physically run together and do puzzles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some sort other than like nail polish.
Though Amanda is right, Tori has no brains, so like that's what it comes down to. It was a good little rah-rah effort, but even Kyle knew, was like, no, we suck. We just suck. We just do. And the team up, idea with Sapphire made sense, and it was working at the beginning of this daily challenge. Unfortunately, Kyle at one point, he decides, I'm going to make a detour. I'm going to run for Sapphire, steal one of their pins, and act like it's no one's business. The first person to call out Kyle when he does so is actually Tori, because she's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you just broke our alliance that we made with this other team, and Kyle tries to play innocent. It doesn't go well at all.
And Kyle always does this. I can't remember if it was last season or this season because they are so long. It was this season. Whenever Kyle and Amanda could have won a daily, like, they could have won it. And Kyle made a stupid move on accident, which really just saved him from having to make a decision to piss people off. His game is so transparent at this point that he was trying to pander to both teams, and he didn't think he'd get caught.
I don't know how you could think that you weren't going to get caught. It's one, something that's recorded and televised. Two, everyone can see you. You don't have an invisibility cloak on. I also sometimes sort of think that Kyle does stuff like this because he doesn't really want to be on the show right now.
Or maybe he needs a storyline, because like the best moments for Kyle this season have been when he double-crossed Devin in that challenge Luke was talking about earlier, that had Devin upset, and then he does it again this season, and it puts the magnifying glass on him. I don't know what he's doing though. It didn't make sense, and it really put Team Ruby in a tough position, as having 4 people instead of Sapphire's 3, that did technically give them a numbers advantage where maybe they could have snuck in the win. Instead, though, the Emerald team, they decide, like, all right, we're going to team up with Sapphire now against you. Sapphire's like, hey, Ruby, let's team up against Emerald, which just allows Sapphire to coast throughout the daily challenge.
Which honestly made me happy. Better than Emerald steamrolling again. It worked so favorably for Sapphire. All these names are getting jumbled. But I even thought like maybe Kyle does these things because he wants CT as a rivals partner. But damn, Josh was certainly the one that was most upset.
And for what? And for what? He had no reason.
I really didn't understand. Like, he was just mad, and they're like, all right, Josh, like, calm down. And he was like, no, Kyle, you've done that. I'm like, he went to the Sapphire to get the dynamite, not from you. So why are you mad?
Didn't negatively impact you whatsoever.
Yeah.
Josh
is the brightest. Oh, so Team Emerald, the guys, they stunk in this daily challenge. They are getting, like, Emmanuel was getting stuffed in the locker. Devin was getting stuffed against the wall. Josh tried his best, but even though he's over 200 pounds, I mean, there was one point where he tried to cheap shot Nelson, where Nelson wasn't trying to have any contact. He puts Nelson up against one of the rock walls or the dirt walls, and Nelson just kind of like sidearms him and just throws him down to the ground and just keeps on running all along his day.
It's pretty bad whenever Josh is the most impressive guy on the team in a physical challenge.
I mean, Josh doing his best is like me doing my worst. So
okay, I can't stand Josh, can't stand it, but I will give him credit. He's at least improved, but improved does not mean good.
Well, I can say any mean thing I want about Josh because I'm not going to get DQ'd from the show for it.
True.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, maybe this show. Please don't. I get like an email.
Nikki deactivated.
Yeah.
But I do want to point out that in common Nelson fashion, he's like, "Yeah, I can't wait to get in there, hall brawl," and I was like, "That's not a hall brawl? I just don't think anyone told him. Maybe.
Yeah.
Boy, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, it's the Ruby team. They're like, every single one of us have been in a hall brawl. And I was like, and Big T got obliterated. So that's not the comment you think it is.
Yeah, I mean, it is a fact though. Every one of them has been in a hall brawl, which is, if you fact check it, it's true.
The sky is blue.
Exactly. My God. Nelson pretty good on this challenge. CT killed this challenge per usual. He even threw a little bump to Kyle at one point just for fun. Kyle went flying. Logan, solid. And Kyle got hit by Josh a couple times. That made me really disappointed, Kyle. And if anything, it has to make Ed at home really sad, because if Josh puts it on like a good tackle on you, you're like, oh my God, I lost to Kyle in elimination. He just got tackled by Josh. What's going on with my life?
Ed's just at home smiling, saying, go Logan, go Logan.
Ah, yes, the best friends, Logan and Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no. That's my feelings there. I think that the men were mostly subpar in terms of performance. I was more excited to see like the women go at it.
Yes. The women were scrappy.
Yeah.
Ooh. I was ready to see Casey, knowing like that's what she does.
So for starters, the women were avoiding contact at the beginning, and then as time went on, they got a lot more heated as the game went on. Tori sees Amanda running down, and she decides, like, I'm going to hit her as hard as I can. Amanda tries to jump out of the way and mostly just gets pancaked into the wall. It was a bad look for Amanda. I'm not going to lie. And Amanda, it could have been worse, but Tori wanted to make a point like, oh, this is why you don't leave the team for me. Yeah, I mean, we know that she's better physically in that realm. Then, though, we get Tori versus Casey, and Casey just completely flattens out Tori multiple times. Not just once, multiple times. And what's so funny to me is that it's like, yeah, Tori, this is why they don't need you on their team, because they have Casey. So if she's already better at what you do best, I don't know what's going on.
Poetic is all I can say. And we knew it was coming because whoever edited the scenes for next week from last week's episode, where it showed Tori being like, somebody's about to get rocked, and it immediately transitioned into her getting rocked. They need a raise. Give me their number. I'll cash at them $3. That's all I have left in my bank account. But just beauty. And Allan's exactly right. Yeah, Tori, you can talk the crap that maybe Amanda's not as physically strong as you, but it's a team. You need balance. You don't need 3 brolic women running a final. Not that Nani is, but you've got to have equal kind of things going on here, so you work well as a unit.
Yeah, I did find it funny, like the way that it was edited, where like Tori's getting all mad when Devin's yelling at her about not throwing it or whatever. Tori's like, you don't want this smoke. You don't want me. And I'm like, it's fine. I feel like I could handle the smoke there. Tori's not a bad competitor. I just don't like her as a TV personality, which I'm watching this for entertainment.
Unpopular opinion, and forgive me, everybody, God himself. I really liked Tori this episode.
Because I feel like that was her. That was actually who she is in this episode.
Even her saying, you don't want the smoke, cheesy as crap, but I believe that's how she felt in the moment. And we're going to talk more about this later, but even in the daily challenge, she was like, I am playing for me. This is my, I'm Team Ruby. Because they were all like, we see how it is, we see how it is. Yes, you see how the game, the challenge is played.
They all need to start thinking like Amanda, like you're playing for $1 million for you. Not, I'm not looking to give somebody else a bunch of money.
Yeah.
I have debt for that.
And I'm going to talk about Tori for a little bit longer and touch more on what Allan said about her being underdog. The only season I've truly really liked Tori was World of Worlds 2. And it wasn't until after she went to the UK team, because she was playing from the bottom. Whenever she got purged in the final, I felt bad for her. And I don't like the girl. And to this day, I still think Tori should have been on that team and won World of Worlds 2. She deserves a championship. I hate to say it, but I was rooting for her because she was on the bottom. So it's been refreshing this week to see her not all high and mighty, wearing her green, she's in, like making out with Emmanuel, or however you pronounce it, because they pronounced it differently today. Emmanuel.
Yeah.
But it just is like, I need more of this. Like, put her on a season where people can't stand her and she has to fight from the bottom. I think that gives her more drive. I think that makes her more of a real person. I think it makes her more likable. Tori, if you're listening, you're probably not, make some enemies.
I'm full. I fully agree, and I gotta say though, Casey had one tackle, not the one that was in the trailer, where she geared up and shot herself like a missile at Tori and just completely wiped her out. And what was really impressive about it was that Casey was coming from uphill and Tori had the momentum going downhill, and she still got her. My God, I could not believe it. I was stunned. I was just like, that's one of the best tackles I've ever seen in life.
Casey's impressive. She might be mute, but she's impressive.
She plays football already, so that's sort of what I was trying to get at earlier, not just talking about how Casey is usually on top of women. I just mean because she plays football.
Yeah. And a little note has to go out to Emmy, because she was the only girl on Sapphire, and thus took a lot of cardio as she couldn't take a break. Every female, they got to take a break for at least 10, 30, 40 seconds. Emmy was just going back and forth, trucking. And that took a lot. Sapphire gets the win, meaning Emmy, Logan, and CT are safe. They win for the second straight week. And they have to decide who's going into elimination, but based on Kyle's actions, we know who it's going to be.
Yeah, very much so. And I have to think, if Kyle hadn't done that, Sapphire likely still wins. Who do you think that they'll win? Emmanuel? Or however you pronounce it. I don't know. I thought it was Emmanuel, but it's not.
Yeah, I've been saying that for the last 15 podcasts, even the ones I wasn't on. Maybe him, but him, Logan, and Emmy are three of the luckiest rookies.
But I feel like Emmy would do whatever CT tells her to do. I don't think Logan would vote for another rookie, but I think CT would be like, let's keep this, good vibes going. And I don't know. But Kyle definitely screwed the pooch on this. It's a no-brainer. Watching it was like, okay, Kyle's going in.
The biggest winner in this scenario to me was Nelson, because Nelson hasn't done anything all season except lose. And then Kyle makes that move, and he's like, all right, cool, I got a week in the house, because I know Kyle isn't going to pick me for elimination because he's seen me in elimination. So Nelson stays winning, doing nothing. I love my man.
I want to note, we will get to it, but Kyle does compare himself to Nelson and say that they are the same level of competitor.
I think they are. I think they're the same. I think one just a taller version of the other.
I'm going to respectfully disagree.
And I'm going to say something that you're probably going to disagree with. I would even argue that Kyle's a better competitor when it comes to the end of the game.
Yeah, he's a better competitor, but they are the same type of dumb guys who could just run through a wall. They're idiots who just they put their head into concrete and just try to break through it. I mean that's what they're good at. They're good at getting their ass kicked, and then put in a little bit of acting. They're not great players. They're not. I don't know. They're solid. They're not bad. But they're not good. They're not great either.
They should also take a break.
1000%.
Most of this cast should.
Yep. And that transitioned us to our somewhat gameplay, somewhat house-like portion of the episode. Switching into the gameplay and strategy portion, as we mentioned, we knew Kyle was going into elimination because of his actions in the daily challenge. After this, it's finding out who is going to be his opponent. But before that happens, we got to talk about Devin just being an absolute weirdo. He has this moment with Tori where he's cursing out, blaming the loss on her. But how could you do this when me, Emmanuel, and Josh have had your back this entire game, have kept you safe, have been, carrying you this whole time, which is just absurd to me. Devin, the challenge doesn't revolve around you. This is a very Johnny Bananas-esque move where you blame someone going in a slight direction against you as them putting a bullet in your back. It was just absurd.
Again, had me rooting for Tori. And like Devin made one singular point where he was like, it's guys' day, Tori, you could have lost. But Tori quickly debunks that somewhat solid point by saying, yeah, but I'm on a team that's not yours. I have to keep my guys safe too. Like, this is not me sitting and watching you guys coast to the final and win it. I've got to play for me now.
This is very much like when there's trades happening with like national sports teams. Just if you get like traded to the Clippers and then you're playing against your old team and you shoot a basket or do a hat trick or whatever the hell you guys do against the other team, it's like, hey, we were on a team before. Like, okay, but no, I'm not on your team.
Yeah. No, to put this in a Ratatouille perspective, you go to cook for a different restaurant.
Yeah.
So like, will you be upset because you took your signature dish somewhere else? No. People want to eat your ratatouille elsewhere. So that's what it comes down to. I will say, Devin and Tori, their argument kind of reminded me of a Republican nomination debate where there are two people just lying back and forth because they kept changing their stories for whatever made sense in the argument in the short term. I was on Tori's side, but they just kept switching whatever the goalpost was, and it was just an awkward moment. It was just so weird. And it ended up with Tori crying, which, I mean, it was like, you could tell she was affected as a friend.
No, honestly, I think so many people cry in the show, and it's so disingenuous. I felt like she really was upset because they try to give us that fake storyline, like, we did another show together, shout out Are You 1 Second Chances, where we fought. But, like, they are friends. You can't go a whole season with someone and not feel that way. But you would want your friends to respect your game enough. And Tori says that to understand, hey, I've got to play for me, even if it affects the other person.
Yeah, I actually genuinely felt bad for Tori in that moment because Devin's like, oh, we have a friendship outside of the show. Okay, I don't see that. I just see you yelling at Tori and Amanda all the time when what they're doing doesn't like serve your number one purpose.
It's just interesting to just hit that on that again. Like last week, whenever Amanda talked about wanting to switch over, he was like, how dare you mess up my game? This is not Devin's game. This is everybody's individual game. Like, who even knows how the finals are going to be run? They might run as individuals.
Are you a Vonnie? No, then this isn't for you.
Yeah, Devin to like first 12 episodes was impressive to that point. But if you remove Devin from the challenge exists without him. You're not bigger than the challenge, dude. This isn't your game. You're only a half bit to like Diet Coke version of Wes at your best. And you're basically the same age as him too. So like, I just gotta say that. It's a rough look. He has Tori in tears and she pleads with Kyle, don't call Devin for elimination when you go in. And Kyle's like, why would I do that? He's my friend. But even Kyle this whole episode and last week is like, Devin is just he's so moody. He's such a whiner.
Yeah, is something going on with Devin?
He just seems entitled. And it's confusing because he's never done anything significant in this game to warrant that.
He plays every season the same and wears the same shirt in every promo photo. Everything's the same.
It reminds me of Are You the 1-3 Devin, where he tried to, manipulate Kiki, tried to have multiple girls, and he comes off as a douchebag, which he is.
He just stinks, literally and figuratively.
He's basically the owner of the restaurant in Ratatouille. Little circle. Luke, you've seen Ratatouille, right? You're very quiet.
I've never seen Ratatouille.
Oh, man. So, I mean, that's good, though. You've seen other movies, and I've seen Ratatouille. So I make up the Ratatouille hole that you're missing. All right,
I've
cool.
Seen literally every other movie, yeah.
Yeah, all right. he's the movie chef. Yeah. Which moves us to our next thing. Kyle knows he's going into elimination. He has a talk with CT where they're just kind of going back and forth. And every single season, CT is against Kyle. It's clockwork. This is what we talk about on Double Agents. Like, Kyle, he's not your friend. And Kyle's like, why doesn't CT my friend? It's like, he's just not your friend. He doesn't trust you. He throws you into elimination on War of the Worlds 2. Double Agents. Here again. It just keeps happening. and you're just shocked. You're the Pikachu meme over and over again.
I mean, I will say though, CT had a point this time, which CT even says like, "You wronged me this time." Like, I don't know. I can value Kyle putting a separation between the game and real life and being like, we're friends. Like, we talk outside of this, whatever. But I feel like we need less of that. We need more of people who just like actually take the game like to heart and don't talk after the show ends and create like authentic rivalries. So I appreciated CT being like, we're not friends. And Kyle's like, we are friends. We're not. We're not.
Who's he trying to convince that they're friends? I do like that Kyle called CT out and was like, you do this every season, you just start yelling about what's going to happen.
I did like that CT was like, I'm getting loud so people can hear our conversation and they know I'm not lying, which I thought was a very good point. And at Deliberation, he called Kyle a weasel, and they put up a photo of Kyle, like an image of him, looking especially weaselish with his like teeth just like, he was just looking like that. He was looking so weaselish, and I gotta say, MTV, you did the guy dirty. You did him dirty with that one.
A lot of rodent talk.
Yeah, lots of rodents.
Pikachu weasels.
Yeah. I did like the tactic that Kyle used where he was like, we are friends. Chris, we're friends. Like using CT's real name. I'm like, are you on that kind of like basis with him where you call him Chris? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Oh, man. And the funniest part about this, though, is like once Kyle knows he's going to Elimination, the talk is who you're going to call out. And he's saying throw in Emmanuel because he's the rookie. So everyone thinks like he might throw in Emmanuel. He also says he might throw in Josh because it's Josh. Devin's out of the question because he's, his best friend. And Nelson's out of the conversation because I think he's just afraid of Nelson. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, if anything, Nelson throughout the day was like, yeah, you messed that up, but he was still being supportive. And it was probably just because Nelson knew his neck wasn't on the chopping block, but nonetheless.
I was a little annoyed that Amanda was like, oh, he's afraid of me. He's afraid of me. A little hard, never seen you in an elimination. You've seen me in dailies. I mean, Casey did a lot of that.
I loved how in nominations or Deliberation, whatever it's called, like Kyle had already outright said, like, Emmanuel, like, I'm calling you in. But then Amanda was like, Kyle, you're going to take this. You got this. You're going to win. You're going to come back.
Yeah.
And Emmanuel was like, yes, yes, yes. I was like, wait, this is counterproductive for you.
I mean, Amanda even had a little luncheon dinners with Kyle where she's just like, you got to play the best game for yourself. And it's amazing how supportive she is when Kyle had been calling her the devil all season. And they were munching on some good burgers and fries that looked pretty delicious.
So good.
Kyle consistently like says that people are his friends that are not his friends. Like he chose Amanda as his partner, and then later in the season wanted to say that Amanda was a weak partner. Like they competed well together, and he wants to say they're not friends. He posted on a story the other day that Amanda had sent him all kinds of gifts for his baby. Like, have other cast members done that?
I haven't seen anything from Chris.
Yeah, I'm tired of us like demonizing quite literally Amanda just because she's like abrasive.
Yeah, and they all had good taste in burgers. Bring this back to Ratatouille and food. The burgers, they look really fantastic.
This is the second time I'd like to know that we talked about Ratatouille because
we've done it before.
We talked about Emmy. We talked about Ratatouille. So like I don't know if Ratatouille is the sort of like it's a film that could sponsor us. I would like to be sponsored by Ratatouille.
Sponsored by the late 2000s movie Ratatouille. Again, it's the only movie I've seen. I just paid $1.99 for Disney Plus just to rewatch Ratatouille.
Say $1.99?
Yeah, it's for Disney Plus Day. It was a special deal. You could for a month for $1.99. Yeah.
Whoever's I use pays like $12.99 a month.
Yeah, and you can watch all types of programs like Ratatouille. This transitions to us. Oh wait, Kyle. He picks Josh for elimination because when they get to the arena, he sees that it is a bridge of sorts that they'll have to be traveling over. And he's like, this will probably include balance, agility, endurance. And he's like, that's what Emmanuel's really good at. So I got to take the goof.
Makes total sense.
Goof over the vampire there, you know?
Yeah. And that'll transition us to our elimination portion right now. Moving into the elimination portion, we had Kyle versus Josh. In the elimination, they had to jump off a ledge and hit a bell that is across from them. After they hit the bell, they can grab a plank of wood, run up a ladder, and then put the the plank on a bridge that they have to build. They have to do this 16 times. If they miss the bell, they have to just climb back up and jump again. It is a game of endurance. It is a game of balance, and who can jump, who can time the stuff. At first, it looks like Kyle and Josh are, going to have an easy time, and then you realize the bell's swinging back and forth like crazy, and that's when it gets interesting.
It was kind of shocking to me whenever Kyle called Josh down to see that they're pretty equal in height. Those are two people you never see side by side, but both very tall men. So I too was like, the bell is going to be nothing for them. But you're right. It's all about timing. You've got to jump at the exact precise moment to slap that bell, because if it's swinging way out, you're going to miss it. Going into this, I honestly had no clue who was going to win. My guess would have been Kyle, just because of Josh's previous elimination viewings. But I wasn't sold 100%.
Yeah, it really felt like a toss-up. And they definitely edited it to look like one. I was getting a little annoyed. It was good to see them, like, first they went really fast, like it was like a sprint and a marathon to them. And then they sort of realized, like, oh, I have to, like, conserve my energy.
I thought I thought Josh was going to get his butt kicked, because especially in the first couple rounds, Kyle was jumping farther. He was climbing the ladder way faster. Because like Josh, he's not an athlete. He has to look before he walks somewhere. That's a big difference. Kyle can just run up a ladder with one plank in his hand. Josh is like looking down because he doesn't have that balance in him. Once Kyle misses the bell, though, that's when the game got interesting, because I thought Josh would be the person to miss the bell, and Josh did miss the bell a lot of times, to the point that like the crowd was like even trying to coach Josh, and then he'd miss, and you just hear a collective "ah." It was just, oh man.
I get missing it the first time, but after that, when you have the entire mass of crowd saying you gotta wait for it to swing back to you, there's really no need to mess up again, and Josh did.
That's the goof for you. The goof's gonna goof.
They each missed multiple times though. Like it was I don't know. I can see how they miss, especially if your jump just comes up a little bit short too at the wrong time. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I just really interesting.
Sorry.
Yeah, and
cheer for anyone.
I wasn't cheering for anyone really either. Eventually though, Kyle gets the win, 16-15, one plank short for Josh. Kyle is now a career 6-6 in eliminations. He's finally 500, though 2 of those wins are against Josh. So I don't know. Maybe we got to erase one of them. Maybe that's worth 1 win. Josh once again eliminated by Kyle. He's now a career 1-5 in eliminations now, and he's the first player since Cutthroat to appear on 5 seasons as a male and not make a final, which is history for Josh.
Loser.
Double loser, whatever.
Yeah.
And
he'll go on next season and he'll break that record.
Yep. And as a reminder, though, even though he's lost these 5 eliminations, he's been eliminated 6 times because he got taken out first on War of the Worlds 1-2. So in a season that didn't even have a redemption house, he got taken out twice. I don't know what to say. He kept talking about wanting to come back stronger next season and be a champion. And even in this episode, he's like, I feel like I could win. I'm like, dude, you don't have no idea what a final entails. You can't eat. You can't do puzzles. You barely tie your shoes. I don't know what's going on.
If they had went to a final with 3 teams of 6 when this whole team nonsense started, Josh likely could have won on a team. However, I cannot foresee there being many team seasons in the leading future. We had World of the Worlds 2. This season has evolved into a team season. I'm seeing like pairs or if not individual for the next season. And I'm sorry, Josh will never be the strongest man on the cast. It doesn't matter how in shape he gets. Coordination comes into play. the right mentality comes into play. The right alliances, dude. He's got good ones, but I think those are waning or weaning.
Yeah, because he had Casey holding the entire Big Brother alliance together for so long. Her just like babysitting what looked like drunk toddlers. I feel like Fessy is going to have Amanda's back more than anything now.
Yes, but pause. We left out a huge thing. The socks that Josh wore.
Oh yeah.
Sorry for just throwing this in, but Josh literally wore his boyfriend's. I mean, he wore Fessy's socks into the elimination round. Fessy had socks made of his face from his hall brawl win against Kyle with like an inspirational quote. Is he a 7th grade boy who had access to his mom's credit card?
Yes.
Oh boy. Oh, that was rough.
Oh.
Oh man.
Please, other podcasts that I won't name, please don't sell those socks.
I gotta say, there is. I can see a world where Josh wins an individual season and is the best player ever. He grows out his hair a bit.
Grows some hair
to like an extreme amount, almost like an afro. Maybe he wears a hat, and you put a rat on top of his head that controls all his body's movement.
Yeah.
You had
Josh and Chewy?
Here's a scenario that I do see though, because I thought about this while watching the episode, and it's not going to happen, so I shouldn't even say it, but here I am. Josh's best bet is to get on a season with just one other Big Brother person. Forget the Big Brother alliances, for him to actually have to make connections, because let's be real, Josh is a good social player, but like he's always going to be seen at the bottom of his alliance because Casey and Fessy are always going to be better than him. Even if you want to somewhat throw Amber B in there, like she's better than him. Put him on a season where his back's up against the wall. He has to genuinely make connections. The guy won Big Brother, for God's sakes, and whether or not they did it because they hated the guy next to him or not, he made it to the end. There's something about him that has longevity. I could see it, just not with the people he thinks can take him there.
I can see it with the rat and the hat thing.
I gotta say, Josh, he keeps talking about needing to get this money for his family. Did the $500,000 that he won in Big Brother, like, what did he use that on? Fessy socks? Like, what's going on?
And I feel like, people constantly talk about like Casey won Big Brother, this, that, the other. We've said that about Josh, or people have said that about Josh in previous seasons, but like that's something that flies under the radar. Josh is a good social player. He won a show just as much as Casey won a show.
One of the only times I've liked Josh was at, I think it was the Royal World's reunion. I think it was that season. Anyways, Polly's like, "Oh, you're always crying." He goes, "Oh, I'm crying in the bank." Oh shit.
Ooh.
That was his best.
Yeah. So, Josh is out of the game. He's out searching for a rat to control him. Kyle, he is picking a new team. He takes Logan's spot on Sapphire, which he threatened earlier in the episode, but he sees that as his trip to the final and a win potentially, which, if true, is big. Though Logan has been performing really well for Sapphire in these challenges, and I don't think it's a guarantee. Logan goes to Ruby, and it's now Logan, Nelson, Big T, and Tori. Next week, I hope we get a double elimination. That's really my hope. If so, I see Big T going back in against either Amanda again or whatever female, maybe Tori, maybe Emmy. I'll just say everyone this season, Nanya or Casey, and then I think one of the rookie males will go in as well.
Maybe we'll get to the final.
A double would be nice. I could see them. Well, there's 12 people left in the game. I could see them doing a 12-person final. They've done it before, but a 10-person final would be a little off.
Total Madness was supposed to be 10, but someone got DQ'd on the female side. Big T got DQ'd, so it was 5 and 4.
I just can't see how they do a 5-person or a 10-person final with 3 teams because they're uneven. But then again, they've not cared about even teams this season, nor did they on World of Worlds 2. So who knows? The final could be next week. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge historically has never cared about even numbers. There are like strengths and weaknesses to having more people, which I mean, some people find flawed. I mean, it's just part of the show. It's just a dumb quirk to the show. That's our episode for the week. But we do want to talk a little bit about Challenge All Stars episode 1. Boy, oh boy, nostalgia is back in the air. 90s and 2000s music is playing aplenty, and it's just good to see some old faces again. How do you guys feel about that first episode?
I really liked season 1. I can already tell that season 2 is going to be elevated, just from the personalities. If I had one word to say about the episode, it's Tina. I did not realize how much I valued Tina on the season she was on, like years ago. She's still the same person, and I like. There's something about it that I love, that she's married, no kids, does not work, lays by the pool all day, and she's still a badass. She still runs her mouth. She's like, she ran her mouth to TJ. It was so funny. Loved it.
Tina.
Yeah.
I think the women are bringing, like, for this season, I think they're going to bring the most.
Yeah, a long time ago, I did a top 10 confessionalist article, and I think I had Tina 10th all time. And my argument was that, the biggest weakness Tina had in her era was that she lived in the same era that Coral was playing. And so Coral was the biggest character, but Tina, her one-liner, she can go bit for bit, toe for toe, and it's just like, when you're next to that person, you seem less charismatic, but then you put her against anyone else, and it's like, damn, this person lights up a room. She's just a star. She's hilarious. And you're right, Luke, she has nothing to play for. And man, she reposted my recap of All Stars 1 out of the blue. I didn't even, it just came out of nowhere. And that was just a big fanboy moment for me, because I never thought I would be covering Tina on a modern season of the show. So not only that, she read my stuff and then posted it because she liked it that much. Good Lord, I don't know if I could ever write a mean thing about her now.
Yeah, and I don't know if he'll have to, honestly, because I genuinely think she will just perform. And even if it's not athletically, it'll be comedically or comically. I'm excited about this season. You know, the regular season of the challenge, or the regular show of the challenge that airs on MTV, okay, I'd still love it, or else I wouldn't talk about it. But All Stars, I wake up an hour before my alarm to watch it. And I get on an exercise bike while I do it. I really enjoy the show. I look forward to it every single Thursday. I'd stay up till 3 a.m. to watch it, but I would die quite simply. But yeah, I'm very excited.
Sheesh. I mean, it's a little hard to get it here. Over in Canada, Trudeau, I'm still going to tweet at you. Make it happen. Don't know why you're not already mutuals with Mark Long, but okay. That's my Canadian complaint.
Yeah. I did, to be completely transparent, I thought episode 1 of All Stars 2 was a big step down from All Stars season 1. But All Stars season 1, episode 1, I think might be just the best episode the show's ever had. And a lot of it came down to Daily Challenge, which we talked about at the beginning of this whole Spies, Lies, and Eyes episode. It affects how you view the show, but I'm excited to have more of it. I'm excited for the editing, and I'm excited for the earliest 2000s bangers. We got some Chingy last week, and it was just man, I love Chingy, bro. We got Holiday in. Yeah. Yeah, you interviewed Chingy.
15. It was on Skype. It was interesting. He was like childhood crush, and then he's talking to me about how he's super into numerology and Egyptology, and I was like, oh. So do you still talk to Snoop Dogg?
That's funny. Yeah. The episode could have improved with a more coherent daily challenge, because as Allan mentioned, season 1, the first daily challenge, it was so interesting. People found out they're out of shape. People had preconceived ideas about people that were quickly broken. I'm thinking Hasela. But this one was kind of a dud, and we didn't get an elimination. Spoiler, but it's not, because we don't get one. They definitely could have made the episode longer, but I also understand the tactic of tune back in next Thursday. So I'm excited for this Thursday to see the first elimination. I think the rules of nominations and things like that seem really interesting. Excited.
Yeah. All right. Make sure to, tune in. Paramount Plus, MTV. Make sure to drop a like on this podcast, comment, whatever. Make sure to follow Nikki on Twitter at the Nikki Sin, Luke on Twitter at Final Reckoning, me on Twitter at the Allan, on Instagram at Caffeine Confessionals Podcast. Subscribe on iTunes, give us 5 stars. Subscribe on Spotify. Just have a great day in general.
Watch Ratatouille.
Yes.
Stan Ratatouille. Stan Remy.